Mission tally. Optimus is POF. It's been almost 4 days since we last saw Molly. When we came back from the mesh incident, she left base. We've tried calling her, texting her, even getting hold of her house phone, but nobody ever answered. Yesterday I drove by her house, hoping somebody was there. Nobody was. Optimus, she has to be somewhere. Ratchet assures. I nod lightly and look down back to the screen in my servos. Molly's marker was still on screen, stuck in one place. When we checked the coordinates and bridged there, her earpiece was in a box in an abandoned yard. Prime. I sigh in misery, turning to the main screen. Special Agent Fowler, I hum. What a pleasant surprise. At least nobody can tell I was being sarcastic. I silently chuckled. Molly is rubbing off on me. I contacted my stuck-up older brother, Nick, about what happened. Agent Fowler informs. Being the jerk he is, he said to call up a man named Agent Coulson because he was too busy. Spoiled, lazy brat. But he gave the number and everything. I perk up hopefully, and he will help find Molly? I guess. Agent Fowler shrugs. Oh almighty, sounded like he trusted this man with his life. Which, coincidentally, he doesn't legally have. I'll put him on the phone with you. Does your contact know of our existence? Fowler leans closer to the screen. SHIELD knows everything. He whispers to us, looking back behind his shoulder. What would make him afraid to say this organization's name? See ya later, Prime. Agent Fowler concludes and signs off. A new human pops onto the screen. A middle-aged man with a receded hairline, blue-gray eyes and smirk wide across his face. So you're the Autobots, huh? The man laughs. You wouldn't believe how fast information travels from Animalia to the bus. My vents start to slow down, and you must be Agent Coulson. Please, the man smiles, call me Phil. Director Fury said you needed some help. Phil crosses his arms across his chest and starts to tap his fingers. It must be bad if Fury's baby brother had to get the most secretive team in S.H.I.E.L.D. I look away, down at Molly's beanbag of stuff. Molly Pavlis has gone missing. I answer shakily, clenching my jaw. I look back to the screen, to see Phil almost topple out of his chair. How is Molly missing? Coulson asks me with a glint of worry. He starts to mess with the smooth black box on his desk, turning it over and over in his hand. Are you sure she isn't just hiding? She does that a lot. Molly has been absent for 4 days. I answer with downcast eyes. I fear the worst for her. Phil put the cube down with a heavy sigh. I will have my team scan the globe for any traces of her whereabouts. He went to turn the screen off, but was hesitant. You know, Agent Coulson carries on, if Molly doesn't want to be found, she isn't going to be found. Even with our resources it will take some time till we found something. Coulson looks over behind him. A girl with long brown hair and bangs was standing behind him with a computer in hand. She passed the security camera in Illinois a few minutes ago. She smiles, typing more onto the laptop. She looks up from her work, noticing me on his own screen. Oh, so we went from Asgardians to giant robots. How nice. Anyways, I'm Sky. She waves, closing her screen a bit. You said you found Molly? I ask with urgency. Sky nods slowly. At least I think I did. I can't be sure with her wearing a very dark coat. How is she wearing that near the lakes? Sky tilts her screen to the side, raising an eyebrow. Molly has mad skills to be pulling that off there. I mean, wow. She laughs, before looking back up. Is her brother there? Phil asks. Can't tell. They must be on a mission then, Coulson concludes, looking back to me. And she is either being really sloppy or she's trying to get us to notice her. Hopefully it is the last one, because I know we taught her better than to be seen by surveillance cameras in a marketplace. I nod in acknowledgement, gritting my dentures. What kind of mission? I ask. Phil and Sky looked to each other and back to us. Probably another radiation raid on the nuclear waste sites up north. Phil guesses. My optics grow wider in shock. Excuse me, I pardon, radiation raids? Agent Coulson tilts his head at my questioning. Did you not know? He asks me. Know what? I cock my helm to the side. Oh. He froze. Never mind. He laughs nervously. We are on it. Don't worry, she'll show up. I think. He went back to being serious, and the screen blacks out. I turn without haste to Ratchet, who is holding a couple of cables. Oops. Our medic shrugs, looking back to his work. I frown, walking away from the screen. What was the agent saying? I think to myself, radiation raids. I know she almost survives off of it, but why would she need to steal from humans when they would have enough in Animalia? She better get back soon, I hear Maiko mutter. Her first concert is in 2 days. Oh, right. Her concert. I mentally facepalm myself. We've been getting the routine and everything else planned out for the past week. Why would she leave now of all times? Oh Primus, I hope she's alright. Optimus. I turn back to Ratchet as looks to me in worry. Molly isn't going to be hurt. If she's with her brother, she has to be safe. And it takes a lot to bring her down. Ratchet returns to his work, leaving me with my thoughts. Okay, how was she acting before we left? Not too strange, but she wouldn't look at me when we came back. There was blood on her jacket. Did she get hurt? Is that why she left? Did she not trust us? And how does she have relations with this shield? Did she work with them? For them? Are they allied? How long has she known them? Did she have a more intimate connection with an agent? My energon boils just thinking about her with someone else. Like anyone deserves her. I don't even deserve her. The room flashes green, catching my attention. We have a reading. Ratchet calls to us, bringing the team together. Decepticons? Maiko asks, leaning over the railing. Much like how Molly did. I look away quickly, downcasting my optics. Not sure. Ratchet replies, squinting at the screen. But it's a very strong energy signal. He types onto the keyboard, and I glance over his shoulder. Should we investigate? Bulkhead asks me. I look to him, nodding my helm. Allowing the Decepticons to acquire more energon would restrict us to limit our own resources. I claim. I look to Ratchet and nod. He flips the switch and activates the ground bridge, the colors swirling in a vortex. Autobots, I raise my voice, my mask shielding my face, roll out. I run through the portal, transforming into my alt form. My wheels screech against the dimensional flooring and we burst out of the ground bridge. I soar out into the air, back springing onto the earth. I scan the area. Molly was right. We are almost always in a ravine or canyon of some sort. I notice, lowering my blasters. The area around us is rid of Decepticons. I narrow my optics, advancing forwards with the team. Seems we have gotten here first. I hear Bulkhead smirk. I glance around the rocks and walls. There is evidence that Decepticons were here. I just can't seem to. Boom. What was that? Bumblebee asks, jumping up. Let's check it out. RC suggests, running forward. I follow her silently, keeping my weapons out. I creep ahead of her. If something happens, I want to be the one that gets hit first. I flatten myself against a wall, looking beyond the corner. My optics widen in surprise at the scene in front of me. 7 humans are fighting off the drones, moving at an extremely fast rate. Storm clouds bellow above us, thickening ever so quickly. A dark woman with flared white hair floats above the fight, lightning tickling her fingertips. A man with an odd set of goggles and a dark blue suit with yellow accents was firing a wide red beam from the glasses, aiming directly at the Decepticon's optics. I watch in shock as 4 more humans appear from the cliff's edge. A dark blue humanoid creature let out a roar before leaping into battle, his deformed feet working like hands. A familiar face strikes a wire in my processor. Logan. I think, watching my beautiful Charger's brother fight with uncontainable rage and a smirk of pleasure as he slashes through drones with his claws. 2 young girls now stand at the top, looking around frantically for something in the sky. I look up as well. The clouds were moving in a suspicious manner. With a nod to another, they burst into action. The girl with the white streak in her brown hair touches a Decepticon, and he falls, dead, to the ground. The other girl was being chased by a Decepticon, until she ran into a wall and disappeared, making the Decepticon crash into the solid rock. I'm mesmerized and am struck with realization. They have powers. Just as Molly said. Optimus, Bulkhead grabs my attention back from the fight. Are those humans? Indeed. I answer, the storm clouds growing larger. We must act quick if we want to get them to safety. I say this even though I don't mean it. The enhanced humans seem like they got it covered. I leap into the fight, firing my blasters. What the FCK is that? Logan yells as he stabs another Decepticon in the helm. Well, now we know where Molly gets her cursing from. I roll my optics and step in front of the unnatural humans. Thunder cracks across the sky as the storm grows larger, the clouds covering all signs of day. The other humans stare at me strangely before continuing their fight. Where the hell is Monarch? The beast yells over the carnage. I keep the cons away from the small team of humans, who have started to argue. She is up there. Logan yells again, jumping over our heads. He lets out a high-pitched whistle, making me freeze in a battle stance. The fight continues around me, making me the only one who isn't fighting. Who is Monarch? I ask in my mind, unintentionally lowering my blaster. The woman controlling the storm lowers herself back to the cliff's edge. And another human fell from the clouds next to her. Their body was suited in black from what I can tell. The storm blocked all light from Earth's sun. A black cloak flew behind them in the raising winds, as did long brown and blue hair, tied up out of their face. No. I whisper, adjusting my optics. Tan scales cover her forehead and define her cheeks sharply. The whites of her eyes have gone pitch black and the green glowed brighter than I have seen before. Her lips are juicy wine red, contrasting with her skin tone. 2 small, sharp, white teeth reflect off of her succulent lips. Upon closer inspection, I saw that her suit is scaled, with white lines trailing up her limbs and torso. A blue patch hid itself underneath more black. The suit seems skin-tight, but the scale look through off the outline. Her cloak is clasped with a yellow circle with a black X. I step back without hesitation, clenching my fists. Finally, I hear Logan growl. He pushes the con he was fighting away, and runs off. I glance back to the other Autobots. They look to me for an explanation, but even I don't understand. She's not dead. I sigh in relief, keeping a servo to my chest. I feel a stare from above me, and crane my neck cables to look up. Molly is gaping down at me, her black and green eyes wide in surprise. Her mouth is opened slightly, but her gaze quickly goes from me to her brother. She glares down to the brunette as he sheathes his claws into his clenched fists. He snaps his head up, cocking it. "What?" he shouts up to her. Molly glowers down to Logan, her teeth baring in a snarl. A gasp escapes my mouth. Her fangs are longer than what they show outside of her lip. The rest of her teeth were jagged and, for the lack of a better word, feral. I back away, fear creeping up my back. The humans gather at the top of the cliff's edge, and just like that, they're gone. I look around, frantically. Not again. I grit my dentures, optics starting back behind me. The Eradicans were sprawled on the ground, most dead. Optimus, RC yells from the other side of the ravine, there's no energon. It was a fake beacon. She holds up a transmitting device. The humans got to it before we did. Molly was here. I respond, off topic. What? Bulkhead pokes his head from behind a wall. She was up on the cliff, I answer, pointing up, with the other humans. Then they just left. I shake my head. Looking back up there. We didn't see her. B says, walking up next to me. Are you sure it wasn't somebody? It was her. I raise my voice, clenching my fist. I know it was. 2 days after. Everyone is rushing about backstage. Maiko, Jack and Raphael are in their dressing rooms, getting ready for the show. I am unloading the trailer and setting their instruments down gently onto the floor with RC. Bulkhead and Bumblebee are setting up the stage, adjusting lights and such. Ratchet is somewhere. To be honest, I lost track of his whereabouts. Most of the crew is animalian or similar, allowing us to walk around backstage without worrying about revealing our existence to humans. Where is Molly? Maiko shouts as she slams the door to her dressing room shut. I pout slightly, looking away. I haven't been in stasis for days, and seeing Molly out at the fight just made everything worse. Now, I think about her even more than usual. Her green eyes surrounded by black have burned their way into my processor and leave a sting just remembering them. The stadium is starting to fill up. Bulkhead states, walking back into the main room. We can't reschedule our first concert. Jack whines, twirling his drumsticks. Course we can't. Maiko snaps at him, we can't pay back the money for tickets. She snatches her guitar from the pile and starts to tune it. Maiko growls under her breath, picking at the metal chords. I stand up and fiddle with my servos. Unconsciously, I glance over to Molly's abandoned guitar, its cherry wood almost dull. The backstage lights flicker, distant thunder approaching the coastal city. 10 minutes till showtime. I look down at my feet to the crew member, his earpiece and clipboard suggesting that he was the concert organizer. Raphael jogs by, throwing his gloves under his arm and reaching up to fix the wires in his hair. Where's the star of the show? The planner asks Raphael. The young human shrugs and snaps on his neon orange gloves. My audio receptors pick up murmured voices. I look over my shoulder at the back entrance. 4 figures stood at the door, the first one hooded in shadows. The one in the hood lifted their hood off for a split second and the guard jumps. He hurries them in, closing the door quickly. The cliché of people rush away from the door, heading to the opposite side of the stage. 5 minutes. The man yells, running to the edge of the stage. The person who got the guard to let them in freezes. Then sprints after hearing the time. If Molly isn't here in 30 seconds then we're screwed. Jack shrieks, his eyes wide with anxiety. Maiko gulps, sliding her guitar strap over her shoulder. She sighs, we might as well get into position. Maiko and the boys jog to the stairs that lead underneath the stage, wheeling the larger instruments behind them. When the humans are out of my sight, I hurry to the other side of the stadium. I peek around a beam, my optics lighting up the area. I gasp, my head perking up from its slouch. A woman stood at the other end with her back facing towards me, her loose brown hair showing off its blue tips. Molly. I yell to my charge. I hear her gasp, curse, and she snaps in my direction. Her face twisting into a shocked and fearful expression. Her eyes are smoked with silver and black eyeshadow, and her lips are a bright and somber red that popped off of her features. Half of her face is shadowed from my view, but I can tell she is more than ready. 30 seconds. Molly looks to the organizer, nodding her head quickly. She turns her back on me again, her back rising and falling rapidly from her hyperventilation. Slowly, she starts to clomp her way onto the dark stage. The stage has more light than backstage, and I got to see her attire in greater detail. The stadium was loud with chatter. I reach out to her, only to pull myself back. Fog started to roll off of the stage, colored lights causing the fog to tint. Strobes at the top of the stage start to light up patches of the stage, and the crowd grew quiet. Admin, here is the song she will be singing. Smiles. Is anybody the question mark tilde? Does anybody care what I'm feeling? Question mark tilde. Molly waltzes out of the mist, holding the microphone to her mouth. I wanna disappear. So nobody can hear me when I'm screaming apostrophe tilde. Cues. I could use a hand. Some ATMs. Yeah, I could use a hand. Some ATMs. I lean forwards, focusing my optics. Her voice was just as I remember it. Perfect. They say pain is an illusion. This is just a bruise and you are just confused, but I'm only human! Exclamation mark tilde. I could use a hand sometimes! Exclamation mark tilde. I'm only human! Exclamation mark tilde. The stage rumbles beneath my pads and the kids are lifted onto the stage. Hello Los Angeles. Molly shouts, raising her mic to the air. Having a good night? The crowd screams in a reply. Frag frickin' tastic. Molly beams. Now, I know we didn't come to chat, so tell me. She smirks. Are you ready to rock? The stadium explodes with cheers, thousands of fans waiting for more. Molly smiles her beautiful white smile, and nods to her band. Jack starts to tap a beat, which explodes into a rhythm of sound. And the concert begins. Rain patters on the ceiling, the storm finally declaring its arrival. How I can hear this over the cheers of the fans and music. I can't. The screen behind Molly reflects the atmosphere outside. Underneath the cover of the stadium, lights illuminates all corners of the stage, imitating water and fire. During the instrumentals of each song, Molly would rock out, her hair and necklace whipping freely in the lights. When it was her turn to sing again, she did so with such excitement that I have missed when she was gone. The concert lasts for 2 hours, as planned. Molly's finishing song causes an uproar among the fans and whistles echo across the stadium. Thank you. Molly yells, smiling widely. She pants occasionally, the singing leaving her out of breath. I hum with content and assurance. She's back with us. She's back with me. I think, lurking back behind the stage. The crew has taken to a celebration for the successful debut with cheese, crackers and different kinds of alcohol. I search for the other Autobots. Ratchet and Bumblebee are sitting on a large metal crate and Bulkhead and RCE helping the crew pack up extras. Maiko, Jack and Raphael walk down from the stage, smiling in joy. That was awesome. Jack finishes their sentence, pumping his fists. The crowd went wild when Maiko was playing her solo for the finale. He claims. Maiko smiles at the compliment, imitating her final part. Please. Raphael laughs, you should have heard them during your drum solo. I've never seen anybody party that hard. The teenagers laugh, high-fiving each other. I chuckle, looking to each of the kids. But the one I wanted to talk to the most all week and all night is not among them. My sparks pounds against my spark chamber. Rain and hail pounds harder on the roof, and a slam reaches my attention. I jerk towards the flapping door. The floor below it was soaked. Optimus? Ratchet puts his servo on my shoulder. Is everything alright? I sprint out into the rain through the larger set of doors. Hail smacks and clangs against my metal and the rain clouded my vision. I cuff my servos around my mouth. Molly. I shout into the night, scanning the wet road. The rainfall lightens to a drizzle and the familiar silhouette of my darling queen glimmers in the dull rain. She is frozen in her place, looking between me and the open streets, where the yellow headlight of an Earth motorcycle blazes through the shadows. She isn't too far away. I sprint to her without haste, grabbing her arm with care before she could run away. Molly snaps her head to me, and I can't tell where the tears end and the rain begins. Come home. I managed to choke out, staring into her crystal green eyes. Please. She stares right back into my optics, her lip quivering. Her arm snatches out of my grip and she pulls my servo to her face. Molly sobs, rubbing her face on my digit. She whimpers, her tears landing on the tip of my finger. SHSHSHSH. I cooed, wiping her face with my thumb. Please, don't cry. I feel stray energon leaking from my optics. Seeing her cries tearing me apart. She brings my face closer to hers and cups the side of my cheek with her palm. The tips of her fingers drag across my faceplates, and she smiles weakly. I feel a hiss on my cheek, and then a sting. I ignore it. It's nothing more than hail. I am sorry. She whispers, resting her forehead on my face. The stinging intensifies. And soon the stinging turns to burning, and more tears well in my optics. I know well what she was doing. She lifts her hand from my cheek, leaving my faceplates sizzling and smoking. My vision flickers. I fall to my knees, panting. My knees give out, and I slip onto my side. My optics flicker again, and the pain makes me groan. And as the rain drenches her hair and clothes, and her eyes begging me for forgiveness, Molly backs away with more tears. And my vision finally gives out. I can't come home. But please, find me when you wake up. My optics online again. Optimus? If you hear me, clench your servo. I hear Ratchet instruct. My fingers twitch, and slowly, my fist clenches. Good. He's awake. I groan, trying to sit up. What happened? I grunt, rubbing my helm. Molly happened. I think, remembering last night. My digits graze over my cheek. I felt nothing. Molly, well, Ratchet stammers, looking for the right words. To put it simply, she poisoned you. My optics widen at the mention of poison. It's not toxic. Ratchet clarifies, but it was able to put you under for 12 hours. When we found you were lying on your side. Molly was nowhere to be seen. I look away, not wanting to listen anymore. Why would she ... I thought. I murmured, holding my hands together. I finally sigh, putting my helm in my servos. I wanted to. Ratchet pats me on the shoulder, recognizing my grief. I know. He whispers. I thought she was going to stay. I thought she would celebrate with us. But poison? She would never ... unless ... the headlight. Her brother has a motorcycle with one just like it. He was there. And the woman who controls storms, she could have caused the one last night. There were 4 people when they came in. 4 people had to leave. Molly looked fearful, and didn't she say? Come find me when you wake up. I repeat, looking up from my hands. Come again. Molly told me before I blacked out to come find me when you wake up. She didn't want to poison me. I state, standing up with shaking legs. She was forced to. Her brother and her have a mission and they don't want anyone following them. I limp over to the largest screen, my left leg as stiff as a brick. But Optimus, Bulkhead says, we can't track her. Not anymore. He gestures to Molly's earpiece. I disagree, but we can pinpoint their next move. I motion to the map. They were looking for radiation. That's why they went to the Energon beacon. The higher the energy reading, the more likely they'll head towards it. I internally smile, feeling accomplished for figuring that out. Ratchet nods, entering in coordinates. There is an Energon signal, an actual Energon signal, on the east coast. He claims. Given how fast Molly can fly according to her files, and the fact that she can teleport if going fast enough, they could already be there. Finally, I have some hope. Then we must act quick. I add. Ratchet, activate the ground bridge. Ratchet does as I say, pulling the switch downwards. This time, nothing will get in my way. A growl escapes my voice box, and I shield my face with my battle mask once more. I run through the vortex without transforming, and take out my blasters. As always, it's another canyon. Again with the canyons. I shout in my head, ignoring the large Energon crystal stumps. I lumber through the crevice in the earth, glaring at the walls. Red blasts hit my armor and bounce off. I look up to the Decepticon miners, and narrow my optics. You are going to wish you didn't do that. I aim my gun, firing Energon up at them. This starts a chain reaction. Decepticon blasts rain down on us, giving us hardly any time to get out. Autobots. I shout behind my shoulder, follow me. I charge through the shots, guarding my helm with my arm. In between strides, I shoot at them as well. Optimus. I freeze, turning slowly. Megatron towers over us at the ledge. I am surprised. He yells down to me. Primus, I can hear the smirk in his voice already. When I heard that you took the bait for the fake Energon beacon, my expectations have dropped for you and your team. Then I hope it isn't as such of a surprise that humans reached the beacon first and defeated most of your Soliders. I reply, trying to get a better bearing. I notice Megatron glower down at me, and I gladly return the glare. We just cleaned it up. And how is Her Majesty? Megatron booms, I haven't seen her in some time. My optics widen and narrow, my growl growing louder. Now I wish she was as far away as possible. I think. Far out of your clutches, Megatron. I bark. Optimus. I glance back to RC's whisper. Up there. She points to the opposite ledge. My optics start to where she is pointing, and I hide my gasp. The four figures on the cliff watch our quarrel, being held back by a cloaked figure with a yellow and black clasp. Molly. My vents activate, keeping me from heating up. Not the best time, Molly. I frown, looking away. Megatron was gone. My optics scan the area, searching for my nemesis. And how can you be so sure? I hear his disembodied voice behind me. I have heard she never stays in one place for long. Something about her incompetent brothers. I jerk to look behind me. Megatron stood directly in front of me as I turn, his red optics boring into mine. That sight he. A voice roars from above us. Molly. Get your tail back over here. A blur of black slashes past us, clawing at Megatron's side. The flash zooms by us again, this time, drawing Energon. You can mess with me. I hear Molly's voice yell, you can mess with my friends. But you never mess with my family. Molly snarls, flying up higher. The sun glows through her wings, creating a halo of light around her body. Her actions make the others come down to fight, Logan siding up by her. Molly hisses, dropping to the ground with a heavy thump. In split seconds, her dragon form is readying her neck to strike. With a roar, she lunges towards Megatron, baring her fangs. Her wings flare open, and her talons start to scratch Megatron's chassis. She backs away, leaving him in a shocked state. Optimus. She snarls, guarding me with her wings. I'm sorry about the neurotoxin and I'm sorry about running off. She stands up on her hind legs, and we were now standing back to back. Her claw grasps my servo. But even I would betray my brother for you. She claims. Till the end? I look to her. Her eyes lock with mine, and I can see the apology clear as day. Till the end. I nod, aiming my blaster. Molly smirks, snapping her tail open. Tear them to shreds? How else? Good point. Molly chuckles, popping her neck. It feels good to be back. She grunts, flinging shears towards an Eradicon. I hum, firing at the surrounding Decepticons. Molly dives in front of me, hissing fire out of her mouth. Her back scales glow bright teal, as does her fire. We continue to fight side by side, earning a glare from her brother. Molly? Logan screams at her. Why are you fighting with the robot? This is my team. Molly shouts back at him. And it have been too long since I have seen them. A full week, to be exact. I correct her with a smile. Yeah, sure. What Optimus said. Logan snarls at me, his claws dangling at his side. Then it all happens so fast. A blade catches the man in the stomach, impaling him through the gut. Logan. Molly cries, rushing to his side. Megatron stalks away from the mutant, sheathing his sword. Molly shifts back to human form, and holds him in her arms. Please. She whispers. Logan stares at his wound, lifting his shirt up. That's gonna take a while. He murmurs. Molly smacks him, dropping him to the ground. I jog next to her, holding a finger to my compass. Requesting a ground bridge, Ratchet. The portal appears next to us, but Molly doesn't follow me in. She turns to look at the two other mutants. They're friends. She assures them. The man and woman look at each other in uncertainty, then rush in. Molly pulls Logan over her shoulder, and drags him in. When everyone is safely in the bridge, I follow after. Molly, I'm fine. Logan protests as Molly was dressing his wound. It needs to be cleaned. She disagrees. Look, Logan points out, it's already healing. In truth, he is right. The gash is almost fully healed. Just really bloody. Don't care. She dabs the rest of the blood off. Logan glares at her, leaning back onto the couch. To my annoyance and disapproval, Molly is sitting on her brother's lap, keeping him from running off. There. She hums, rolling off. Logan looks down to his clean gut. Thank you. Cheese it. Whatever, weirdo. Logan grunts. Just explain why you have been lying to me for the past few months. Everyone in the room freezes. Including me. What do you? You know exactly what I mean. Logan yelled. This. He motions aggressively to the base. Them. What has been going on? Molly shrinks back from his shouting, looking down in shame. Do they know? I look to Molly in worry. She seems like she was about to break down. Why yes. She answers reluctantly. As does Maiko, Jack, and Ruff. Logan pinches the bridge of his nose. Luckily, the ones named Storm and Cyclops left earlier for reasons unknown. We're moving. I hear Logan mutter. No. What? Molly questions, her lip trembling. But I can't. I finally feel like I belong. This is the town I finally made a life in. Logan grabs her shoulder, firmly. Molly, you revealed yourself to humans and... He glares at me, aliens. And you know memory wipes cost too much for us. No. Molly cries, I won't leave. I should have listened to Draco, he claims. I should have kept you away from human schools. But Draco already knows and he doesn't mind. Molly shouts, anger flaring in her eyes. You told that idiot Draco before you told me? Logan yells. You were gone. Molly screams, you're always gone. How was I supposed to tell you? You're hardly ever at home, much less in the city. She shoves him away, walking down the stairs. Molly walks next to my foot, not even turning to face him. I watch Logan run down the steps and onto the floor. We are leaving. He sternly orders. Without thinking, I step in front of Molly. No. I retaliate. The other bots back away slowly. What did you say? Logan snarls at me, his chest puffing out. I glare down at him. No one will take her away from me again. I am her guardian. I state, it is my job to protect her. As her brother I can do that just fine. Against the Decepticons? I try my best to keep calm. You wouldn't be able to protect her. If she has already been captured and tortured and hurt by them once before. I clench my fists. It is my decision. Not yours. Logan yells, I know what's best for her. Taking her away from her home isn't what's best for he. Stop it. We both turn to Molly. the air around her extremely cold. I can't take this. I can't take having the most important people in my life fighting. She screams, tears streaking down her face. She whips her baton out before I can calm her down. Logan and I stare in aghast as she zips out of base. This is all your fault. What? I am Molly's brother, kneeling down. Logan snaps. Molly skipped her last full moon. That makes a werewolf aggressive beyond measure. And now I see why. Or more appropriately, who. He glares at me, his teeth baring. You can skip full moons? I think, keeping my surprise to myself. I'm not the one who threatened to take Molly away from the only life she felt comfortable with. I throw back to him, narrowing my optics. You said it yourself. Logan growls. I'm not the one who let her get captured and experimented on. He turns away, grabbing his shirt. I don't want you near her anymore. It's for her own good. And with that, he walks out of base. No. I stand back up hesitantly, my servos falling limp. The feeling of guilt piles up in my chest. She didn't skip a vital part of her biology just for us, did she? I rest my servo on the top of my helm, whispering, what have I done? Nothing, Optimus. Ratchet claims. If anything, it was Molly's brother's fault. He pressured her, then she pressured him, then they both took it out on each other. I wonder if they had these issues when Molly was smaller. Bulkhead bonders. Probably. I sigh. Molly's most likely going to be at the forest right now. It's where she goes when she is stressed out. I transform and drive out of base. Logan's shadowed form disappears in the distance, and I can tell he instantly regretted what happened by how he is slouching. I can't believe he's walking all the way to the house. It's unusually cold tonight. I swerve off of the barren road, heading into the forest. How many times have I came in here searching for Molly? I ask myself, standing up in the trees. As usual, it is dark in the woods. But moonlight beams through the leaves, creating silvery patterns all around the forest. I don't bother with calling out to Molly. If anything, I'll just stumble upon her. A break in the trees shines moon rays to the forest floor, leaving my view of the sky as clear as water. The moon sparkles in the night like a big white dish, lighting up the sky and the land underneath it. The lonely and haunting howl of an earth wolf echoes throughout the forest, sending chills up my back. The howling continues, and choruses of wolf cries explode from miles around. I jump away, and a limb smacks me in the face. Again. Ouch. I grumble, rubbing my cheek. My audio receptors are filled with the bewitching calls, and the leading voice grows closer as I move on through the trails. More moonlight streaks into the woods and my pace quickens. I remember this path. We, meaning Molly and I, went down this path the first time we came here. Molly acted a bit more wild and feisty back then. Don't get me wrong, she still is very spirited, but she has calmed down around me lately. The petrifying howls got even closer, and the exit of the woods comes into focus. I peek through the logs and trunks of the trees. The wind blows silently through the long and soft grass of the clearing, and the moon casts shimmering light onto the field and flowers. Another howl rings in my ears, making me stumble back. Out of the tall grass, a head threw its nose to the air, the piercing and lamenting melody originating from her open lips. When she was done, her head perks to the brush, waiting for a reply. Her hair looks thicker and longer, and most of her body is hidden in the grass. I gaze at her wistfully, and try my best to approach her silently. The grass brushes against my foot, the soil beneath soft and feathery. I know you're there. Molly calls to me, barely turning her head. I smile, stopping. The vegetation around her lay undisturbed, still blowing in the gentle breeze. Unlike the path I made. Looking behind me, I noticed that the grass was pressed tightly against the soil where my peds were. Oops. Sit down, Optimus. Molly purrs, patting to a spot next to her. I look back down to her, and lower myself down to the fluffy and thick grass. The grass was even softer than I remember. Course, it was shorter back then. What were you doing? I ask, gazing down at her. Howling. Molly answers, clutching her knees to her chest. Full moon's coming soon again, but the werewolves told me it's not going to be so bad this month. I might not even shift. She sighs, smiling. I hum in acknowledgement, smiling softly. Molly perks up, her ears twitching slightly. Have you ever howled before? She asks with enthusiasm. No. I drone. What are you planning? It's super fun. She grins. You have to try it. She jumps up, taking my servo in her teeny tiny hands. I raise an optical ridge. But I don't know how to howl. I protest, laughing. Molly rolls her eyes, PSSSH. It's easy. Here, I'll show you. She runs up in front of me, cuffing her hands around her mouth. A long howl pushes out of her throat, and it drones into the woods. I flinch back, the loud sound still surprising to be coming from her small body. Molly lowers her hands, the howl fading out. She turns back to me, smiling. Now you try. She yips. I straighten my mouth, my optics widening. Oh, okay. I stutter unintentionally, crawling forward. Okay. How do I do this? I ask myself, remembering how Molly did it. I cuff my servos around my mouth, and hope for the best. I lower my hands, and look to Molly for approval. To my embarrassment, she was rolling in the grass holding her sides and laughing. What kind of howl was that? She cackles, wiping a false tear from her eye. I look down, my faceplate's heating up. A howl isn't just a sound. She beams. It's the voice of your soul. It's what makes you happy and sad. What drives you forward and what pushes you back. It's your past and your thoughts. Try and find that one thing you care about most, and sing it. Molly howls again, sitting like a dog. My optics widen once more. Her howl is now more cheerful than before, her voice ringing throughout the woods. Okay, something that makes me happy. I nod with courage, crouching next to her. My chassis rises, and I glance back down to Molly. Glad to be right next to you, then. I smile and throw my head back. My howl is better than the last, almost in perfect harmony with Molly's. The breeze picks up, and red and orange leaves swirl around us. Molly's howl fades out first, and mine comes soon after. She stays silent for some time, making me worried. Did I do it wrong again? Distant howls reply back to us, and Molly grins in response. And when you get it just right, she blinks softly, taking in the sounds. Nature answers back with its own song. Molly limbers up, releasing a heavy sigh. I'm so sorry for poisoning you. She apologizes, squeezing her eyes shut. Molly. I didn't want to, but Logan didn't want anyone following us. Storm couldn't keep up with the rain and we lost our cover. Molly. I lightly lift her chin up to meet my optics. Her eyes were already tearing up. You're so emotional sometimes. I laugh. I forgive you. Though, I did feel betrayed for a few minutes. She quickly darts her eyes away. Sorry. She mumbles, rubbing her arm. I chuckle, pulling my servo back. Please forgive Logan. She breaths. We have had a rough, restless week and Logan has been getting the worst of the hits. Adding on to the whole giant robot aliens are friends with my sister deal just made him even more so. If I introduced him more slowly, he would be in a much better mood. Molly, you don't need to apologize for your brother's actions. I state. He is his own responsibility. Not yours. But when it comes to my friends. Molly pauses, he shouldn't have talked to you like that. I sigh, knowing she will protest for the whole night. Come on. I held it out for her to step on. I'll drive you home. No. Molly shakes her head. Not until he apologizes to me and to you. She crosses her arms. I'll just sleep at base tonight. I look at her indifferently. Molly. I mean it, Optimus, she insists. Logan better get used to this, 'cause I am not leaving your side. I finally found a place where I can be myself around humans and not worry about being subjected to experiments. I am part of a team that actually has a purpose. Not just randomly planned government base raids, even if we acquire information from time to time. I smirk. Speaking of which, what kind of mission were you on? Molly shrugs, climbing onto my servo. We raided a few government bases for information. She responds, dangling her feet into the air. What type of information? I ask. You know how me and Logan were experimented on? Molly says, squaring her shoulders. Logan and I correct, earning a glare from her. Continue. She sighs, chuckling a bit. We got names on the scientists. Not just names, statuses, jobs, locations, what they look like, how they were associated with Weapon X. Molly grows stern. We want to make sure nobody suffers our fates. Human or animalian. My mouth parts a tad, before I shut it. It is best to not say anything. Soon, we are back in base. Molly jumps out of my passenger seat, landing onto the floor. The rest of the team retired to their berth rooms for the night, the day being overly stressful and fast-paced for many of us. I'm going to bed. Molly yawns, stretching her arms. This is going to be my first night of actual sleep. I want to savor it. She climbs the stairs quickly, diving onto the couch and rolling into the blankets and pillows. See ya in the morning. She mumbles, curling up tightly. I laugh, shaking my head. Good night to you too, Molly. I smile, walking out of the room. A hiss comes from the medical area, and I stop and turn. The large fang we found at the canyon when the kids were in the shade dimension was smoking. Molly's presence obviously disturbed it. I shrink back, feeling like someone is watching us. I frown, shaking off the odd sensation, and hurry to my berth room.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you guys want to watch more like it, please subscribe to my channel and become part of the video game fanfiction plot. And please leave a comment down below and hit that like button. If you guys have any suggestions on any stories you guys want me to read, don't hesitate. They're always welcome here in the video game fanfic plot. That also goes for video games. Until next time, goodbye!